Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning. We are visiting with Cassie Brown and Aaron Miller, both with the A21 campaign. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Got to ask you, first of all, what is the A21 campaign?
So A21 Campaign is a global nonprofit that helps to do four things to stop human trafficking. So they work with government agencies. They have restoration homes. They have multiple organizations all over. And so they actually do four things. They have a prevention program. So you can go in as anybody and download their prevention information. You can order it and you can get that into schools. A lot of places do it in schools, colleges. Awareness is a huge part of what they do. They have a protection program. So they protect victims with human trafficking through restoration programs. They have found that victims who are restored are more likely to testify against their traffickers, which is a huge deal. And plus the things that they've gone through. I mean, social workers, counselors, lawyers, nurses, doctors. I mean, this is a team of people that have just boots on the ground. They also have prosecution, which I think makes them different from a lot of different organizations because they want to pursue justice by prosecuting human traffickers. They use enforcement. They use legislation. They work strategically with governments. We see a lot of legislation change coming down the line, and I do think it is because they've been around globally, just, making a lot of legislation changes.
And they do one more thing.
Yes,
right?
they do partnership. You're fine. Partnership. So A21 partners with people just like you and me to fight for freedom together. So I'm actually a supporter of A21 Campaign. I support monthly. I am a nurse, at Altman Hospital. So I am just a normal person and I can't go across the world, but I can do something here. And sometimes it's just by giving a little bit of money once a month and saying that this is kind of what I believe in.
Yeah. A21 was founded by whom, when, how long ago?
Christine Kane, she founded it probably about 7 years ago. She had been in Greece for a speaking engagement, and she was in the airport, and she saw these signs up about trafficking, and she was just kind of like stopped by it, like, what's going on with this? And then God revealed to her that, unless you do something about this, now that
she was doing a sermon at the time. She was actually speaking on the Good Samaritan, and God really spoke to her. So she saw all these pictures of kids. She just had a baby. She's a mother, so they really spoke to her. And she was doing that, and God revealed to her. He said, Chris, you think you're the Samaritan, but really you're the Levite. Because you're going from speaking to speaking, and the Samaritan chose to cross the street. And so that's what A21 is like they have wristbands that say because on them, and the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me because he anointed me to preach the good news to the poor, to set the captives free. So, that really is where the heart of A21 came is, God has called us to do this because the anointing isn't just for us to sit around in church. Not that that's a bad thing, but, to do something for his kingdom.
You said before we went on, once you know about this, you've got to act. There's no, you're not off the hook at that point. It's okay to not know about something, but once you know about this, we need to respond in some ways, and a variety of ways. That's what's great, is you offer a variety of ways in which to respond and participate and help rescue these people. Is there some significance to A21? What does that mean?
It's abolishing human trafficking, modern-day slavery in the 21st century.
There you go. All right. We still have no idea about how prevalent this is. Do you have some kind of numbers for us to know what is going on with as far as modern-day slavery?
Well, every 30 seconds, someone becomes a victim of modern-day slavery.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Every 30 seconds, someone becomes a victim of modern-day slavery. So, and we think, in America, I met Christine Kane 4 years ago down in Jacksonville, Florida, and here's this 5-foot-something little woman that came out and did a 75-point sermon series on what the church is and isn't. And I got her book called Run to Win, and in it I started reading about human trafficking, and I knew she was doing something with it, and it really blew my mind because then when I started to research, I thought, okay, it happens, It happens in Asia, it happens, in Greece, or it happens in different places, but it doesn't really happen here. And when we found out that, Toledo is number 4 in the nation for human trafficking and that it goes on here.
I have to stop you again there. Toledo, right here in our area, is number 4 in the entire nation of the United States, all 50 states.
Yes.
Number 4, as far as people being snatched away and sold.
Yep.
How is this possible?
Well, one, it's the one thing that we kind of figure, we're not, the legal protection or anything, but the thing we figure is Toledo is so close to Canada that that's an out into another country. So if they can get them, they can snatch them. And I mean, especially in this community, when we know that heroin is becoming a huge epidemic, that all of these different things, poverty-stricken people, immigrants, people of Hispanic descent, these people are more at risk. And so we look at it and we go, okay, so I was actually talking to a doctor in the hospital yesterday about it. And he's like, I don't think about this happening because, we're working in hospitals and, this is our, area. So I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, I do ministry. And so for me, I don't think these are my babies. I don't think, that this could even exist, this type of horror. But it does. And so it's making people aware, first off, that this does happen here. And this is happening here. There are stories, Erin can tell you one about Nicole that is on the A21 site, talks about her story.
Erin, we have time. Go, let us know about Nicole.
She was the first human trafficking victim that A21 rescued in the United States. And she's gone through the restoration programs, and they restore who you were and who you wanted to be. And so now she actually testifies in the court system about what she went through and what needs to happen to stop it.
So there is a wonderful outcome as far as part of the work that A21 is doing. Do you know her story? How did she get into traffic? Did her family sell her in? Was she a runaway? Do you know how she got into trafficking in the first place?
She'll look that up real quick.
Okay, sure.
I just want to say, too, because I was thinking of that, only 1% of victims are ever set free, which is why human trafficking, that's why A21 is a big thing on what we're passionate about, because only 1%, so that's 1% of the 27 million people in slavery today is what they estimate.
Who's most at risk?
Most at risk are women and children. So girls under the age of 18 are actually more likely to be re-trafficked. So even if they get set free, a lot of them are more at risk to be re-trafficked. So, 99% are never rescued. These are people that are poorer income areas. So, the ones that nobody's really watching.
Well, I'm thinking of a lot of people that, you're frantic when you're even at the mall now or something like that, or walking by yourself to your car. It's a scary world out there these days, and you really do worry about kids, what to tell them. You don't want to make them scared of their shadow, but you do want to make them aware of the dangers that are out there. Where's the happy medium as far as prevention and what to say to young people?
I think here's the thing. We're not called to live in fear.
Right.
God has not called us to live in fear. I think that we are aware so that we can do something. Light, without darkness has no purpose. But when there's darkness, the light goes into the darkness to really be light. Essentially.
Even lighter, yeah.
To be the light. And so I think the biggest thing...
darkness cannot consume it.
Exactly. So funny story. I was smiling as you were saying that because we set up and tear down in a hotel in Dover to do our outreach ministry that we do. And so every month, my girls come with me and we have 2 rooms. We do the one room and then the other, and they sit and watch TV in the one room. So my daughter, because, I know all of this about human trafficking and I'm very, very aware, she got mad at her sister because she wouldn't play with her, and she decided to hide in a cupboard.
Oh, no.
In the hotel. So, they're there every month. They've been there so they know the staff workers. They know a lot of different people. My mind, first place it goes is something has happened. Abduction, my child is going to be trafficked. So that fear, but then the next thing is, I started yelling for her. She was pouting, so she refused to answer. So we had a conversation after she came out, and I said, honey, you don't understand. There are people in this world that, they want to hurt you. And, you've just got to be careful. You've got to be, aware. I was 5 and my parents, because we lived in a different world, even just, 25 years ago. I'm going to go with that.
That's a fine number to go with.
25 years ago when I was 5 years old.
There we go. I'm with you.
So, I mean, I remember my parents telling us don't talk to strangers, you don't take candy. And I think it's just, honestly, it is understanding the prevention, even in college, because college girls are you think, especially here, we live in Tuscarawas County. Everybody knows everybody. I'm going to yell at other people's kids. They're going to yell at my kids. Like, your neighbors, essentially. When you go to college, I actually moved away to Atlanta when I was 18. And it was a huge culture shock for me. I didn't go to a lot of places by myself. I didn't go and, do a lot of things because that was ingrained in me from my parents. You were very careful. You're very cautious. So I think it's just teaching them prevention, what you need to look for. This is not a thing to scare you into hiding in your house for the rest of your life. You need to live a life full of abundance, but you need to be aware of what's going on and that you are at risk.
And to understand that at different levels at different ages.
Exactly.
Because you would say something different to a 5-year-old than you would to an 18-year-old who's going off on their first overseas adventure with their graduating class. And I'm thinking of Natalie Holloway, if I'm remembering her name right. I think that was the first instance that we became aware that people can be taken. And, oh my gosh, that you just can't even get your brain wrapped around that, can you? We kind of feel safe wherever we go.
Yeah.
And so what do you say to a teenager then who is excited about going away for the first time? Buddy system all the time?
I think buddy system, and I think
you just have to be so aware of your surroundings. Yes. I actually went to Mexico when I was 17, and we were walking through its shopping area, and we took this turn, and we shouldn't have turned where we did. And some guy comes up to me. He's like, "It's my birthday," and I'm a friendly 17-year-old. And I was like, "Oh, well, happy birthday!" And he grabs me, and he grabbed my arm, and he started kissing up my arm.
Oh my gosh.
And my group kept walking because I was the last one in the line, and they they didn't see me, and I'm like, starting to freak out. And luckily, the girl in front of me turned around and was like, "Hey," and they came back for me. But, they were trying to pull me into a tent. And I'm like, it was really, really scary.
Very scary.
And it happened so quick. And I tell everyone now when, girls are going away, I'm like, you stop. You watch where you're going. If you don't think you should be there, then don't be there, and never be anywhere alone.
And scream, make a scene.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
And also, these people are very strategic. This is the one thing I told the doctor. I said, you look at a drug and it's a one-time sellable commodity. These people look at people and they're a reusable commodity. So you can make,
they say that it's an estimated that the human trafficking industry generates $150.2 billion annually.
Oh my gosh. All right. This is just mind-boggling. All right. The nice thing about A21 is you also do rescue.
Yes.
So there are people who have been trafficked that A21 has been able to find and pull out. How in the world do you do a rescue operation? That sounds amazing.
I love it. Because I've been following them for 4 years. And so it's great to see, especially this last year, how many victims have been set free. The first one happened. And I mean, these, Christine Kane is from Hillsong Church in Australia. She's from out of that church. She is a local church girl. So she had her church, they prayed, okay, so they're not going to come to us. Let's start praying and asking God to start convicting these people who are having sex with these trafficked victims. One man brought a victim in and said, "I don't know what this was, but I needed to bring her in." He just started asking her questions. "Where's your passport? Where's this?" And so she had nothing. And so he brought her into the police station. Wow. I mean, just God moving when people start, making themselves available to what he has. And so the one thing, again, nurse. So I love this story. The one girl was promised, because these girls are promised things. They are told, some of them, their boyfriends or their friends, that drag them in, their family sells them. Those are, the tragic ones. But the really, really tragic ones are when you're promised something and then everything is taken from you. And these girls are promised jobs. And so one was promised a job as a nurse. A21 rescued her. They have social workers going into the jails. They're very strategic. They have a hotline that you can call. They are working. If you can get a victim set free, we're going to do everything we can to rescue them and restore them. So they paid for her schooling to go back and become a nurse. And I'm like, this is what I love about A21, because I can't do those things, but working together as a global team and boots on the ground in our own local community, that's not just their story, that's our story, because we're a part of it.
We're talking with Cassie Brown and Aaron Miller. They're from A21. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.